Different levels I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played.
Welcome. Welcome to It's Culture Podcast. My name is Mark Stevenson. And tonight, we got a good show tonight. We got a show. Trump been pardoning everybody. We're going to talk about that. There's some backlash going on with Target, with Tabitha Brown and Jamal Bryant. We're going to get into that. San Francisco School Board, they are trying to revamp their grading system. And we're going to talk about that. And we got another corrupt politician. We're going to dive a little bit into that one. And then we're going to talk about some Diddy stuff and some Tory Lanez news at the end, if we get around to that. If not, I'll do that on my next show. But I just want to say, smash that like button, smash that share button, subscribe to the channel, support it. I thank everybody who has subscribed. We're over 14,700 subscribers now, so I thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel. We're on our way to 15,000. Help me get to 15K. That's my next goal, is get to 15,000. So I need about 300 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do your boy a favor and hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, but it helps me out so much, and it helps me to continue to bring this quality content that I hope to bring to you all. So enough about that. Let's get into it tonight. Trump has been pardoning people left and right, y'all. And I call this the pardon bunch, right? We got a sheriff, the Chris Lees, and Larry Hoover. So let's get into this real quick. So this week, if you all don't know who Alice Marie Johnson is, she's a former Queen Pen who got her sentence commuted by Trump back in 2018, and he ultimately gave her a full pardon in 2020. She's been working behind the scenes as the pardon czar, bringing pardons to President Trump for him to review and consider for pardons. That is what her job is. She's been doing this. She started this when she first was released back in 2018. After Trump commuted her sentence, she was sentenced to life in prison for being a drug queen pin in the 80s and 90s. And when she got out, Trump decided that he was going to appoint her to work on a council to look at prison reform as part of the First Step Act. So she's been on the job. She's been bringing them people to pardon. I spoke about the Republicans trying to get Derek Chauvin pardoned. I talked about that on a previous episode. So if you want to go back, you can go take a look at that one. And my thoughts on that. But this week he started out with this sheriff for Virginia. Now, the sheriff got sentenced for bribery, y'all. He got sentenced for bribery. Because what he was doing was part of one of the most corrupt things you could do while in office, is that he was deputizing people for kickbacks. That's what he was doing. He was giving people honorary badges for his bribery charges. Now, Scott Jenkins is his name. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison when he was convicted. And he got a full and unconditional pardon from Trump. Basically said it was a conspiracy. It was a lot of stuff that went on that in the trial, that evidence was getting suppressed, all this stuff. Now, we already seen Trump pardon all the January 6 people. A lot of people were mad about that. There was a lot of out backlash about this. So then he starts off this week with this pardon of Scott Jenkins. Corruption. A sheriff that's corrupt. He got a full and unconditional pardon. So basically, Trump wipe this man's record completely clean. He can go back to doing what he was doing. I don't know if he's going to get his law enforcement credentials back, but it's just like it ain't even happened. And Trump pardoned him. And then he went on. He got on the phone with Savannah Chrisley, talked to her because she had been advocating for her parents to get out. Because we know what the Chrisleys did. They were accused of defrauding the IRS of money and defrauding based on their real estate value. So basically, they were taking out loans against properties they know that they weren't valued against, and that's illegal. Now, a lot of other people has been convicted of kind of doing this. Marilyn Mosby got convicted of this. It's kind of similar to what Letitia James is going through with the probe that she's under. And the Chrisleys got a lot of time. They got 12 years and 8 years respectively. And they've been in prison since beginning of last year. Did about a year. And Trump decided, after talking to Savannah, at behest of Miss Johnson, the pardons are, and he gave them a full and unconditional pardon, and now they released. And then he turned around, and this started back in 2021. Well, actually started before that, when he was in office the first time. Kanye West, along with Drake, had started advocating for Larry Hoover to be freed. Now, if you don't know who Larry Hoover is, he is the founder of the Gangster Disciple gang out of Chicago. He was sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences for his role in the Gangster Disciples rise in the 70s. And subsequently, the 80s and 90s, they said that he was still ordering things to be happening on the streets, even though he was already in custody. He had already been in jail since the 70s. He got convicted of state charges in Illinois for ordering a murder. So he had got 200 years from the state of Illinois and had 6 consecutive life sentences from the federal government. And he was being housed out at ADS Max in Florence, Colorado, the Supermax prison, on 23-hour lockdown in a 4x8 foot cell with only an hour of recreation time. If you all have never seen ADX Max, it's called Administrative Maximum. It is the worst prison in the United States as far as conditions is concerned. But it houses the most dangerous criminals that have ever set foot in the United States. We're talking about the tennis shoe bomber. We're talking about the Olympic bomber and Timothy McVeigh and all these people who have done some of the evil things. They're housed there along with El Chapo. They're all housed there. They don't get no communication with the outside world. They had a small little TV. They've done documentaries. Now you can't actually go inside the prison to see the cells, but people have been in there, and the human rights organizations have said that this place is inhumane. So we know, they said people go there, they're talking to themselves because that's all they see. They talk to themselves, they go crazy. It's like a mental health ward for terrorists. And they got a lot housed there. And they're under extreme security. Like, there's no way to break out of ADX Max. There's absolutely no way they can do it. This thing is impenetrable. So ain't gonna be no tunnels being dug for El Chapo to get out of this prison. So Larry Hoover's been out there. And the reason why he got moved there is because they said that he was still ordering hits while he was in state prison. So the federal government got involved and moved him out there, and he's been out there since. So Kanye, Ye is he going by now, and Drake had been advocating for Larry Hoover to be free. A lot of people have been saying free Larry Hoover for a long time. They felt they'd been advocating for Larry Hoover. They felt that he had done enough time And he was getting up in age. He's been in prison for over 50 years, and he's been in jail way longer than he's been out. And his health is failing him, so the people who have been calling for him to be released. Now, Trump commuted his sentence. He didn't give him a full pardon. He did commute his sentence that allowed him to be released. The problem is with Larry Hoover, which is not like Scott Jenkins and the Chrisleys. Larry still has 200 years of Chicago time to do. And this is where it gets tricky at, because this was like a chess move. Now, I don't know if this was planned by Trump as a chess move. Oh, he also pardoned NBA Youngboy. I should have put NBA Youngboy in the picture as well. He did pardon NBA Youngboy of his federal gun charges, even though NBA Youngboy had already served his time, but he was on probation, so he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. And he thanked Trump for pardoning him. But back to Larry Hoover. This was a chess move. This was absolutely a chess move, because now he goes back to Illinois to finish out this 200-year sentence that he has in the state of Illinois. And Illinois is flooded with Democrats in the state legislature and at the governorship with J.D. Pritzker. So now that Larry Hoover is out of federal custody and back into state custody, is Governor Pritzker going to pardon him, or is he going to let Larry Hoover stay in prison? Now, this was, like I said, it was a chess move. And the reason why it's a chess move, because now Trump done put the ball in the Democrats' court. And for some reason, they're always playing defense. They're never on offense with Trump. There's never an offensive strategy. It's always reactive. What are you going to do, right? Trump has released Larry Hoover. Now, I know a lot of people in the black community, some people have said, why did he do it? Larry Hoover should stay there. The gangster disciples are bad, But to other people, the other half of black people, Larry Hoover should be free. He should be free. He's 70 years old. So what are the Democrats going to do in Chicago? What are they going to do across the state of Illinois now that Larry Hoover is back in your custody? And now Trump has given you all a reverse Uno and said, okay, Democrats, let's see what you're going to do. So is J.D. Pritzker going to pardon him and give him a commute that 200-year sentence to time served and let him release him? Nobody said he had to pardon him. He can commute the sentence, though. He can commute the sentence and give him time served and let him go. The president of the Black Senate caucus has come out and said it's time for Larry Hoover to be freed. There are other activists in Chicago that have been advocating for Larry Hoover to be free. So should he be freed? That's the case. And if he is to be freed, is Governor Pritzker going to do it? And if he doesn't, what are going to be the ramifications for the 2026 midterms? Because everything that these politicians do is strategic. Now, the Democrats are trying to win back the House and the Senate and put some guardrails up against Trump. Democrats in Illinois, if you screw this up, you may not be back in office in 2026. California is having this problem right now. So now Trump is giving it to Illinois. So we're going to see what happens with this. I'll be very, very curious to see what happens with this. And then, because I think this is going to have a lot of effect. You're talking about touching hip hop. You start getting Drake and Ye, especially Drake. Not so much Ye because people don't really listen to him, but Drake in particular, because he's a hot artist and he's on tour. He starts going out here talking about free Larry Hoover all on his shows. You start getting other artists talking about this. They start, you got the BET Hip Hop Awards. I mean, you got the BET Awards getting ready to come up. Is somebody going to say free Larry Hoover at the BET Awards? You got all this stuff coming up. So the ball's in your court, J.D. Pritzker. You can either go with the masses or listen to the minority and get burned because of it, and give Trump all the ammo to say, see, look what I did for them. Look what I do for the blacks. As he normally says, I freed Larry Hoover, and the Democrats kept him locked up. That is not something that you want to give Trump, the person who is the quote unquote, law and order person. You definitely don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to give him this type of ammo. Because if you give him this type of ammo, he damn sure going to use it. We know he's going to use it. And the Republicans are going to use it too. So I'll be curious to see. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments about this. Y'all think Larry Hoover should be freed? You think that J.D. Pritzker should do it? Y'all let me know in the comments. I'll be curious to see your comments about this. And then Target, y'all. Oh, Target. Target stock continues to plummet. Their sales continue to plummet. And it's because of a boycott. Now Target stuff has started to drop last year, so I don't know how much the boycott is actually helping, but it seems like it's doing something. And what I'm talking about is this boycott that Jamal Bryant basically, it started with Until Freedom. They actually started this thing. And then you know how people jump on, and if they are known bigger than you, then they kind of take your shine. Well, that's kind of happened with this. Because Pastor Jamal Bryant got in front of his church a couple months back, and I got a video talking about this. Y'all can go check it out. He told them he was going to be boycotting for 40 days and 40 nights. It was supposed to start off and go to Easter. Well, this boycott is still going on. I don't know who actually is participating in it. I don't know if black people across the country are participating in it. I don't know who's doing what, right? Because I don't really shop at Target like that anyway. Because, well, truth be told, I don't do too much of the shopping in my house at all. My wife pretty much does all the shopping. I go with her to put the bags in the car, but that's about all I'm doing. She does the 99% of the shopping that gets done is her. She does all the shopping. So if she's going to Target, I don't know, because I really don't, do all this shopping like that. So I don't know who's not going to Target, right? But their sales and their stocks are plummeting. And CNN had Jamal Bryant on to talk about this. Now, there's two sides, because there's the DE&I side, right? So the boycott is about DE&I because Target removed their DE&I policies. Now, Target wasn't the only company that scaled back on their DE&I policies, but for some reason, Target is in the bullseye, no pun intended, of these people, these activists. Jamal Bryant, Al Sharpton. Target is in there. Target is in the bullseye. But they're not the only one. Everybody else can kind of roll back stuff too. So they decided that they were going to do this boycott against Target, and Jamal Bryant is talking about it. Now, there's two sides, like I said. The other side is you got black business owners who still have their products inside of Target. And some of them are not too happy about these boycotts because people are not shopping there. So their products are just sitting on the shelves and they're not making money off these products. So we're going to listen to what Jamal Bryant said on CNN. And then I'm going to let you hear from Tabitha Brown, who has a large line of products inside of Target. Let's go to CNN.
Blaming DEI, that's what one of America's biggest companies is doing, as Target reported a slump in sales. The CEO pointing fingers in part at what he called the reaction to the updates we shared on belonging in January. Now, that statement is according to CNBC. What the CEO is referring to was translated much more bluntly by one analyst who said, quote, Target is struggling after strategic missteps on DEI.
Now, the strategic misstep from DE&I, what did they do? They rolled back. If you used to go into Target used to have these banners up. So if there was a black business or Asian business or a Latino business that they were focusing on, a LGBTQ business, or things that were themed for the minority groups, Target used to have these little promo things up so you can go find them, because they had products. They had hair care products for black girls that was in there, the curly stuff. They have Tabitha Brown stuff, her McCormick seasonings, and her books and stuff. So you have other people who had clothes and apparel that was being done, and Target had a strategic plan for this. This was a whole entire department that did this for Target, and these Black-owned businesses, these Latino-owned businesses, these Asian-owned businesses who probably wouldn't be in a store and just and have to do it, brick and mortar style or web or off their website. Target gave them the visibility for their products, and then in November, after Trump got elected, they decided to roll back. So this is the backlash, because they rolled back this initiative that basically brought these products front and center.
And that is because people across the country have been boycotting the retail giant since March. And this is the man leading the growing effort.
It is not because of tariffs. It is not because of the stock market. It is because of the power of Black unification and the Black dollar. $12 trillion in spending power is not anything that we should laugh at.
Now, that $12 million is not, that $12 trillion number that he just threw out there, that's not the spending power of Black people. The estimate based on the Center for Budget and Analysis, CBO says that it is about $1.7 trillion. So I don't know what this other $11 trillion, maybe this is the money that the pastors took from Black people, I guess. If that's the thing, maybe that's where the money comes in at. But it's about 1.7 trillion, 1.6, somewhere around there. You look at the figures. Some people say 1.3. Some figures say it'll be up to 1.7 by 2030. But it's about 1 trillion. And about 93% of that is spent on commodities for the house, like toilet paper and food and personal hygiene products, all that stuff. Normally, that's what the vast majority of that money is being spent on. The other stuff is, the other 7% is spent on vacations, entertainment, and other little things that you want to do. But it's not so much of the necessities for the house and your bills and all that. That 93% comes from compound from all the things that like that. So I don't know where he got his figures from, but he's falsing that. But let's keep going.
That's Pastor Jamal Bryant of Atlanta, and he joins me now. And Pastor Bryant, I'm glad to have you back. When we first spoke, it was when you were in the very early days of this. And now here we are, the Target CEO, saying he's not satisfied with the recent performance. He attributes it in part to the, quote, updates they shared on belonging. What's your response to that?
That all of this is avoidable. Brian is fully aware that the African-American spending dollar has a whole lot of muscle, and his betrayal to our community has repercussions and consequences.
I don't know what he's saying it's a betrayal, because the products are still in Target. It's not like Target got rid of them. So I don't know what this betrayal is, but let's keep going.
As a consequence, the stock has plummeted, that valuation has gone down, and even his own salary has been slashed, all because he's been dishonorable and not integrous with the Black community.
So how long do you intend to continue this?
Until something shifts. We've got staying power. We've got a model. The Montgomery bus boycott 70 years ago went 381 days. And our community is resolved and focused and intentional that we're not going to spend our dollars where we're not honored and where we're not appreciated.
So other companies that have scaled back their DEI programs to varying degrees include Lowe's, McDonald's, Walmart, Amazon in some respects. So are you looking at expanding this beyond Target?
Oh, no, we're very clear. Over 17 companies have walked away from diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we decided with resolve and intentionality that we were going to do one at a time.
So we're gonna do one at a time. So y'all keep shopping at Amazon, Walmart, Lowe's, American Airlines, Delta. Y'all keep shopping with them for right now. We'll turn around and get to them, but right now we focus on Target.
Target is the first, it is not the last. And another company is going to be coming on the radar in the next couple of weeks.
In the next couple of weeks, there'll be another one. All right. So I want to ask you one thing, though, when you talk about the power of the black dollar, and it is just the flip side, right? That you're showing that power when it comes to Target, but there are black entrepreneurs who are also selling at Target who are negatively impacted by this as well. A new report from the Wall Street Journal, they went through sales of Play Pits, which is black owned. They said sales at Target of that product have fallen about 30% since April. Beautiful Curly Me also attributing reduced sales to your boycott. So what do you say to those business owners, right, who are members of the communities that you are, conducting this boycott on behalf of?
No, we're so mindful of them. That's why we partnered with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. Over 250,000 people have signed up at targetfast.org. And when they do so, we send them a digital directory of over 150,000 black businesses across the country. We want to support those businesses. We're just not going to do it at Target. And so we'll do it directly through them and through their online platforms. Additionally, over Resurrection Weekend, 5 mega churches transformed their space into mega malls, a bullseye black markets. So 100 vendors would go into those respective cities and support. We want to see them thrive, and we want to see them soar, and we're going to put our muscle and our money behind them.
All right. Well, Pastor Bryant.
So, okay. So let's break this down. So we boycotting Target. There's other companies out there that have rolled back their DE&I. We ain't focusing on them. So we're doing this one at a time. I don't believe this. I believe that it's strategic for Target. If something happened, something happened behind the scenes that we don't know about, and there is an intention. Because if you were going to plan a boycott and you're going to say that we're going to focus our attention on all these companies who did something negative to the black community, right? By rolling back DE&I, even though black people are at the bottom when it comes to DE&I. We don't even represent the vast majority of the people who have DE&I. That would be white women. They're at 72%. So we're boycotting this in the name of DE&I, but we're not targeting every single company that rolled back DE&I. Why? Because they can't. Like I said, there are not too many companies on that Fortune 500. If you go through the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in America that are traded on the stock market, 98% of them have rolled back DE&I. You're talking about Apple, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, like I said, Lowe's, Home Depot, McDonald's. The list goes on and on and on. If you were to sit up and say, we're going to do a boycott, and you want to get some change, the way you change is tell people to sit at home, but you can't do that. Why? Because people need to go shop. People need to go shop. 5 mega churches open up their doors to have little black markets. Y'all should have been doing this already. Shouldn't take a boycott to do this. You should have been doing this already. You got these big spaces anyway. Damn, your parishioners are already paying for this building. So why don't you let it be open up to people to come in and do that? Y'all should have been doing this already. But people are boycotting Target. But you're not boycotting Walmart. You're not doing that. I don't get it. Like, what effect? So you're going to affect one company, and then you're going to turn around, and then you're going to say, okay, y'all saw what happened to Target. If you don't do it, we're going to do you like this too? Should have just did it. Was Target like the test platform to see if it was actually going to work? Because now you're going to turn around and tell people to boycott Walmart now too? So they can't go to Target, they can't go to Walmart. Oh, they can't shop on Amazon. Your kids can't eat at McDonald's. And if you need some home improvement stuff, you can't go to Lowe's and Home Depot. Where are you shopping at? China? DHgate, Temu. Where you gonna be shopping at? Where are you gonna be shopping at if you cannot, and no certainty, if you cannot go to any of these companies because Pastor Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton told you not to? I'll be curious. Okay? I'll be curious. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Because Target met with Al Sharpton. I don't know what power Al Sharpton has in the black community. I don't think he has none at all. I think he's a race hustler, and I think that he's a big grifter. And anytime he can get his hands on anything, that's what he's going to do. I don't trust Al Sharpton at all. At all. Unless if he does things when he know that he can get out front and be seen. Or he's getting paid. So I'll be curious to see in the next 17 days what happens with this. But see, when you affect people, because Erin Burnett said something, right? She said something. She said there's business owners that still have their stuff in there. And Tabitha Brown came out and said something. She faced a lot of backlash from people. But if you're a business owner and your products are in these stores and they're not selling, you're going to be pissed off too, because how are you supporting black businesses and then you're not supporting my stuff? Tabitha has seasonings through McCormick's. And she has a book. So how you getting the seasonings if you're not going to Target? I guess you're going to have to go to another store because her seasonings were in Target. That's where they're at. So here's Tabitha Brown talking about Target.
Hello there, honey. Y'all all right? So listen real quick. This morning I posted my New York Times, my bestsellers, my plaque that I got in the mail, and I was like, oh, I gotta make a post about it. And so it made me think about all of my many friends that I know, and some that I don't know, but authors that I know who've been affected by the Target boycott. So I just want to talk about it real quick. There's so many authors out there whose books have been released, and people may or may not know this, but Target is a huge book retailer, right? That they sell our books. And so because of the boycott, many of our Black authors' books did not sell well because people were not purchasing the books because they're sold at Target. This affected their sales. It affected their ability to be on the New York Times bestseller list. But the bigger issue is that it also affects the next deal opportunity for them to write another book with their publisher, right? So I want us to be mindful. I know that we say that, there's a boycott happening. Give us a direct link where we can support you. Please do support. If you don't want to, order from Target, I get it. But if they give you a link to buy directly from them, do that. If they say, okay, it's available on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble or independent bookstores, purchase from them. Because if not, they may not make their numbers. They may not get their next book deal. They're not making the New York Times bestseller list. All these things are happening to Black authors, and we got to be mindful of that.
Yeah, you got to be mindful of this. You boycotting some stuff and some people on the backside. Some of these business owners are not happy about this. Their products is not selling, and especially if it's exclusive to Target, they just out and about. And she's saying, hey, if we give you a link and y'all talking about y'all supporting us, you better be supporting us. You better be supporting us. Because you putting us in a situation where we could lose a lot of money and a lot of deals behind y'all boycotting for white women. I'm telling you, she's telling you Barnes & Noble, they rolled back their DE&I policies. She told you Amazon. We just said Amazon rolled back theirs. Better be mindful because there's repercussions on the other side. Now, if these Black business, this directory that Jamal Bryant was talking about, if that is true and it's out there and these people can put their products out there and they have the drop ship ability and they're not in a partnership deal where their products are being made by another company and they're the face of it, and it's their idea, then they're gonna be in a lot. That's okay if they don't have that. But if they're on the other side of this and all their products are being made by somebody else, and you trying to boycott something, these people for to lose a lot of money. So we gotta be mindful. I'll be curious to see where this goes. Y'all let me know in the chat what y'all think about this. Is it should there just be a boycott of Target, or should the boycott should have been every single DE company that rolled back DE&I? Y'all let me know in the comments what y'all think. And then the school board in San Francisco. Now, I've been reporting on the news out there in the Bay Area. Things are just not going well. You done had a mayor indicted. You got businesses closing down, crime rates high, education in the toilet. Everything is going on in the Bay Area, and it's being ran by Democrats. You can't blame Republicans for what's going on in the Bay Area. It's all Democrats up there. Well, the school board is considering a proposal to change how they grade students. So out goes D's and F's. You can pass at 41%. There are no zeros, and there's a 50% minimum score if you attempt to do something. If you attempt to do it, you get 50%. With unlimited access to make the assignments up, to bring grades up. And some of y'all probably looking at me like, man, Mark, you got to be lying about this. I'm going to let y'all hear this. I'm just going to let y'all hear the news from San Francisco.
What if homework, tests, attendance, and other factors didn't heavily count towards a student's academic grade? Joe Feldman, a former educator, said he saw a need to improve traditional grading practices.
Because teachers don't get trained how to grade, ironically, teachers are grading in lots of different ways.
6 years ago, he wrote the book Grading for Equity. He said his research shows that grades should be less about accumulating points for a student and more about what the student has learned.
So it shouldn't be about the grades. It should be about what they learned.
If my parent signs my syllabus, if my parent comes to back to school night, if I raise my hand, everything that I do in a class is incorporated into the grade. And what happens is that starts to warp the accuracy of the grade. And in equitable grading, the grade doesn't reflect anything except what the student has learned of what was taught in the course.
One of the key components of equitable grading is using a 0 to 4 scale instead of 0 to 100.
If a student doesn't turn in a homework assignment and they get a 0, it's really hard to bring that 0 up to a passing grade.
Retired college professor and education consultant Marty Kravitz addressed the pros and cons of grading equity.
Students get much more motivated to learn because it's easier for them to understand how they demonstrate their learning. The disadvantage, I think, is that a lot of teachers really resent the idea that if a student doesn't get any work, that a 0 should count as a 0.
10 years ago, the San Leandro School District changed its grading scale to reflect equitable grading practices. In 2020, the Castro Valley Unified School District started the transition. The San Francisco Unified School District appeared to be considering it, but on Wednesday, the superintendent said she has decided not to pursue this strategy.
I don't even know where we start with this one. You know, someone like myself who spends a lot of time like searching for content to create these shows, and I on social media a lot. And you always see people talking about merit, right? That's like the new thing. And you had colleges saying that the people were getting admission, special preferential treatment when it came to admissions. That's why you had the lawsuit against Harvard and University of North Carolina to roll back affirmative action. Everything should be based on merit. When it comes to education, accountability plays a huge factor in the discipline of a student. I'm going to give y'all a personal story. I got 4 kids, 3 girls, 3 daughters, and a son. My son is the oldest. When they were coming up, my son just graduated from college. A couple of weeks back, my oldest daughter is getting ready to graduate in December, and my youngest is going to college as a freshman this year, and then my second, I don't even consider her a middle child, but she's going to be a sophomore in college this year coming up. So when they were coming up as kids, we prided ourselves on making sure that we were those parents that were actively involved in their learning. Not so much with the teachers. Like sometimes, parents can be like trying to get the teacher to do stuff. But we were these parents that we made sure that we had access, and the school district that we in, phenomenal school district, by the way, Pickering, our local school district. They had us so that way we could track every single thing that our kids did. So when their grade went in, when they had to take a test and the grade went in, we would get notified for that. When they turned in their homework assignments, we would get notified for that. And we could actually go and see what assignments were due, their homework, everything. And my wife, to her credit, tracked all of this stuff from the time that they were in elementary school all the way till they graduated. She was on them like a hawk. Turn in your homework. What's up with this missed assignment? Why did you? And then if they didn't do an assignment and she saw it on there and they had opportunity, she would be on them. What's up with this assignment? You ain't got nothing to do. You're not working. Why did you miss this assignment? And the kids were held accountable. Like, we didn't play when it came to education. All our kids graduated with honors. We did not play when it came to education. So the idea that you got a school district that's ready to sit up here and dumb students down, change the grading, and say, hey, we're not going to test you based on what you should be learning, the things that you should be learning in our classroom. No. We're not going to do that. We're going to test you on what you learned. We're going to grade you on based on what we learned. So if you ain't learned shit, guess what? Hey, you still pass though. This is nothing but No Child Left Behind on steroids. One of the worst policies that George W. Bush signed into law. One of the worst education initiatives ever comprised. And in an era where Black students are already being looked at as mediocre, not good enough, getting preferential treatment, what the hell is this? A whole school district looking at having kids not even be prepared to go to college, because a lot of the stuff that these kids are learning in high school is the preparation for how they're going to do in school, in college. If their success rate on graduation, not the fact that they actually go to a college, because a lot of kids go to college for a year and then they turn around and then they drop out. We're talking about, do they have the fortitude and the capacity to go 4 or 5 years in their program and get a degree? And here we are, dumbing it down and trying to make it seem like, hey, guess what? You don't have to do all that. What are you teaching these kids? What are you teaching them? That it's okay not to do your work? You still going to be rewarded for that if you just try? The hell is this? This is more of this trophy. This is that more of this everybody gets a trophy crap. You're going to have a lot of kids out here that don't know anything. They already have stripped them of a lot of stuff that we got taught as children. I'm in my 40s. So a lot of the things that we learned, they're not learning. And they're dumbing them down. Every single generation is getting dumbed down more. Dumbing them down, dumbing them down, dumbing them down. And maybe, just maybe there is people out here that want that to happen because they want to just eliminate all this stuff. You create poverty, you create crime. What does crime do? Crime goes up, and people get locked up. Perhaps this might be the next school to prison pipeline initiative. Because I don't see how any school district, and if you heard in the video, some school districts have already adopted this model. How are you preparing these kids for college? When they applying for schools and they looking at the scale, or they got a 4.0 GPA, you think, oh yeah, good. But then you find out that really, realistically, it's more like a 2.0 because they're not getting real grades. Black students are not reading at grade level in astronomical rates. Our kids are illiterate. And here you got another, I guess you would say liberal, because this is a liberal policy. I would highly doubt that a conservative would sign on to some crap like this. Another liberal trying to do some crap to dumb down the generation and hide it behind equity. This is not equity in education. I highly doubt when MLK was out marching the streets trying for civil rights and you had Brown versus the Board of Education and all, I highly doubt this is what they figured when they were out there marching. I highly doubt that this is what they envisioned was going to be happening nearly 60 to 70 years later. I highly doubt that. And if you're a parent and you got a kid in school, get active. I understand you work. You got other things going on, but your kid's education should be of highest priority. Because if you all are not paying attention to what's going on with these school boards and all these policies they're trying to do, if you don't keep yourself abreast of what's going on in the schools that your kids go to, you're going to find yourself with your kid graduated and they don't know a damn thing. They are of no use to society. The only thing that they'll be able to accomplish is crime. Because who's going to hire them? I don't agree with this at all. I just don't. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Because this is, I get very, very pissed off when it comes to education. Because I think education is the greatest equalizer. That's one thing that nobody can ever take away from you. They can try to call you all kind of names. They can say all these things about you. The one thing that they can't take away is that degree on that wall and your education, because you earned that. You earned it. Ain't no freebies going to school. Ain't no freebies. Y'all see my degrees on the back wall back there. There's a bachelor's and a master's back there. There is no greater equalizer than education. You put yourself in the game, regardless on whether you use your degrees or not. You have the capacity to sit for 4 or maybe 6 more years in a classroom to learn. And we should never stop learning. Don't let these liberals come into your school district with these dumb policies, trying to dumb your students down and have your kids out here not knowing how to read, write, or comprehend anything besides how to pick up a phone, jump on TikTok, and make a video. Don't do this to your kids, parents. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't let don't let them corrupt your kids like this. I see why people are starting to homeschool at a record rate now, because the education systems in our country are trash. And not to mention San Francisco, they fired their superintendent last week. And they've hired a lady named Dr. Sue, who is not an educator, who's never been in education at all. Only thing she's been able to do is successfully run some businesses, and she's supposed to be the next standard bearer for keeping San Francisco school district from getting taken over by the state of California. A hot ass mess. If you're in San Francisco, get the hell out of there. Run. The Bay Area is horrible. Horrible. And then for my final topic tonight, we got another corrupt politician. Y'all keep electing these people, and they keep doing things that they're not supposed to do. This one here, she had her hands in the cookie jar. This is Tawana Brown out of Charlotte. She's a city councilwoman. Now, she's supposed to be out here fighting a good fight. Like all the Democrats, especially the black ones, they always say, right? They go out here, they're fighting. They're fighting. Well, she was lining her pockets. Her and her kids and one of her nieces, I think. So we're going to hear this video because I want y'all to hear what happened. And then we're going to talk about it on the next side.
Tawana Brown is accused of illegally getting COVID funds and using them for personal expenses instead of for her business or nonprofit. Now, she says she does not plan to hide because she has nothing to hide. That means she does not plan on resigning, and she is going to fight this.
She ain't got nothing to hide. Now, y'all gonna hear why she says she has nothing to hide. And this is the reason why she's not resigning.
In perhaps yet another blow to the image of Charlotte City Council, Councilwoman Tawana Brown is now facing federal fraud charges. A federal grand jury says she and her two daughters illegally obtained more than $124,000 in COVID pandemic relief funds through false documentation on applications like incorrect tax forms. Speaking Thursday morning, Brown says she is only responsible for $20,833, which she says she paid back a few months ago when she found out.
No one had to tell me to pay it back. When I found out that there may have been some stipulations and how the application was processed, I paid it back.
So you paid back $20,000, so where the other $104,000 went?
The indictment says that money was supposed to be used for business expenses. However, it says Brown used $15,000 from her nonprofit's bank account, which contained the PPP loan funds, on her birthday party. That party included a rented throne and a horse-drawn carriage.
A throne and a carriage. Oh, she was balling, y'all. She was balling.
Photos of the party were posted on the nonprofit's Instagram account. Advised by her legal counsel, Brown did not get into specifics about how she used the funds.
Going to be for trial, so I've asked her not to answer these questions.
Brown also says the loans were forgiven. The indictment says she and her daughters used false documentation to gain that forgiveness. The city released a statement saying any activities alleged predate her involvement with council. In 2023, Brown became Charlotte's first formerly incarcerated councilperson, serving time in the 1990s for a felony fraud conviction. Forgiveness and helping others get out of that cycle has been a key part of her platform.
They know who I am. They know my history. My history is not a secret. I live my life on my history.
Brown made her stance clear. She says the charges are politically motivated, added she is not resigning, and plans to run again in November.
I haven't been convicted of anything. I was elected for the people, by the people. The people would have to remove me out of the seat.
If she is found guilty, she could face a maximum of 20 years for each of those two charges she faces. At her initial court appearance Friday morning, she'll plead not guilty.
I have reached out to multiple other council members for comment. The general consensus is no comment right now, but they are wishing her the best. This also comes as Edwin Peacock was sworn in just Tuesday to fill that District 6 seat. He says he hasn't even met her yet, but is sending prayers to her and her family.
So y'all heard the background, right? Formerly incarcerated woman. She's a felon. And she got indicted on what? She went to prison for what? Fraud. And here we are again, 30-some odd years later. And she got another fraud charge. And now she's trying to spend it. The people going to have to remove me. It kind of sounds like Tiffany Hilliard, right? Yeah, we always hear this stuff, and we want to give, I'm not going to denigrate people who are formerly incarcerated. I'll share the story. My father, God rest his soul, was formerly incarcerated and turned his life around when he came home. So I'm not gonna say that, a zebra don't change their stripes because they can. But in this situation, she used her status as a former felon who turned her life around and understands this to get into office, and then you turn around and do the exact same thing that put you in prison the first time. This time using the taxpayer dollars, and your excuse for it all is as soon as you found out you paid the money back, but you only paid back your little portion. Now your daughter's they're on the hook for $104,000. They got you with pictures. You got for your birthday, you threw all this big extravagant birthday party. You're balling out on a budget. Got horse-drawn carriages, thrones, everything. Y'all popping bottles all over the place, all on the taxpayer dollar. So you want to say that you paid back the money that you spent on the money that you spent solely went to your party, but you're not gonna say where the rest of the other $104,000 went. They're gonna have to wait for that to come out in court. When is this stuff gonna stop? Honestly, when is there's been so many people convicted because of PPP. The pandemic really. So now the government basically just bailed out American citizens. There was so much fraud that went on in with these PPP loans. I wouldn't be surprised that they still gonna be having cases 6-7 years down the road. Like down the road, people getting charged with stuff that they did during COVID. This is, COVID happened in 2020. This is 5 years. And you out here saying that you're not going to resign, they're going to force her to resign. I promise you they're going to force her to resign. Because right now, she's just been indicted, right? But as soon as this trial starts, and the people of Charlotte, y'all already got a bunch of other stuff going on. Y'all had people who have to resign from office. The city council in Charlotte is screwed up right now, right? It's completely screwed up. And we're going to do a deep dive on Charlotte. I'm going to do a special video on Charlotte politics. I'm waiting on one of my friends to come on and kind of give me the lay of the land down there because he's in Charlotte. So we're gonna dive into that one. We're gonna do like we did Dalton. But you got the people of Charlotte. What are y'all doing? Are y'all gonna reelect her in November with this hanging over, with this felony charge? How's she gonna spend this one? How's she gonna spend this? She ain't resigning because the people put her there. Well, the people put you there before they found out that you was stealing money from the federal government. Now, it would be easier, I guess, for them to recall her, but I don't know Charlotte's constitution. I don't know if city council persons can be removed by vote by a recall. So they may have to wait till November. But do y'all really want this hanging over your head? Because this pressure is going to start turning up some more. We just saw the councilwoman from Boston plead guilty to getting kickbacks, and hers was only $10,000. This is $100,000. This woman looking at 20 years in prison. Now, is she going to get all that? I don't think so, because we just saw the Chrisleys only get 12 years and 7 years, respectfully, for over $30 million in fraud. Marilyn Mosby didn't get any time for hers. She didn't get any time. She got like house arrest. So we know how these federal prosecutors are. There's going to be a plea deal, because if she takes this to trial, she's going to lose. They got it. The feds ain't losing this case here. Not for corruption, they not. So is she going to risk it? Or is she just going to say, you know what, I'm going to take the plea deal, I'm going to plead down. And that's probably what's going on right now. She's probably going to plead out. But here we are again, y'all. We keep saying we need representation in politics. We need representation. But the right representation needs to be there as well. Because everybody, y'all keep electing, seem to be only going into office to pad their pockets. They don't care nothing about the citizens. They care about their bottom line and their bottom line only. And they're going to use every little slogan, every little civil rights slogan they can come up with. Y'all heard Jamal Bryant referencing the Montgomery boycott. They're going to keep talking about King and referencing him and all this stuff. And these people don't have a ounce of integrity in their bodies. They're soulless, they're spineless, and they are very, very manipulative. And they are playing. They are pulling and playing with your emotions, because they know that we as a group, as Black people, we are emotional beings. We are very, very emotional. Everything, pretty much, our outrage is very, very, very emotional. So they placate to that. They placate the race card. They throw all these things out there, and they have you up in arms about it while they're sitting behind the back door, funneling money through her nonprofit. City council got a nonprofit, funneling money through it. That happens all the time. So we got to be mindful. I'm gonna keep you all abreast of what's going on with that. Like I said, I'm gonna do a special video about Charlotte, but we gonna pay attention, because I promise you, what's today? May 29th. She's gonna plead out before September. I promise you, she's gonna plead out before September. Mark my words. And if she does, then we're gonna come. I'm gonna snap this part of the video and say, I said this back on May 29th. Because I solely believe that this ain't going to trial. She's gonna plead out. If she's smart, she will. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this. What can we do, y'all? I mean, we can't really. I mean, we want to give people opportunities, right? But this one here, it's kind of like the joke wrote itself. You have somebody who was convicted of fraud that just got indicted for fraud. Yeah. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that. And yeah, that ends it for tonight. You all seen the things with Tory Lanez. There's a congresswoman out, Anna Luna. She has a website now that allegedly has all this stuff that's supposed to expose this case. There's been leaked footage of a video of Megan Thee Stallion's saying that she didn't get shot. That's out there now. There's some audio of a person saying that it was a woman shot her. I don't know what to believe in that case, but it's interesting that this stuff is coming out, and we have a congresswoman from Florida that is pushing the envelope to have Gavin Newsom reopen this case and look into it and hopefully pardon, as she said, hopefully pardon Tory Lanez. So, and in the Diddy trial, more of the same, more testimony. His assistant's been on trial this week. They kind of gave some testimony to some things, but I'm still waiting on the prosecution to bring something else other than just being about Cassie, because this is not a DV case. But it seems like their whole, so far from what it seems like everything has been centered around his relationship with Cassie, because everybody who has testified to something that's dealing with Cassie. So, but if some new stuff come up, then I'll report it. But until they get to something new, I'm not going to be doing videos and doing all that, because it's just more of the same. And I mean, there's plenty of content creators out there that are doing day-to-day trial stuff. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about the stuff that is highlight when it's something that changes in that case. But I'll kind of do like what I just did, give y'all a little summary of what happened, but not a full-fledged segment on it. But that's my time for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like I said, smash that like button, smash that share button, smash that subscribe button. Help me out with the channel. The channel continues to grow. I appreciate you all, Culture Nation. Until next time, keep it culture, and I will see you all Sunday night at 8 p.m.